Chapter 23. The sky had darkened to a deep purple by the time Matt pulled into the Vista Ridge Police Department lot. His head ached from the Brittany Potter interview. It might be easier, he thought, to make a list of people who didn't have a motive to kill Raymond Merrick and Ed Black. Inside, the station was quieter than usual. A couple of officers nodded as he passed through. Matt found Joe alone in the bullpen, hunched over a desk stacked with binders. Joe looked up and gave a tired smile. "Rough one?" "You could say that," Matt said, dropping into the chair beside him. "Potter had a lot to say, none of it good." Joe closed the binder in front of him with a heavy thud. "Yeah, I figured. You get the sense everyone in this case is damaged in one way or another?" Matt didn't answer. He just stared at the stack of binders. Joe tapped the top one. "These are from forensics. Computer and phone records for both victims." "All of it?" "All of it. Texts, emails, browser histories, DMs, social media, private messages. If they clicked it, it's in there." He grimaced. "You want to flip a coin, or should I just give you Merrick?" "I'll take Merrick," Matt said. "Tomorrow's Sunday. I'll see how far I can get." "Sucker," Joe muttered, sliding the two thickest binders across the desk. Matt picked them up and felt the weight. "Something tells me these kids had more going on than anyone realized." Joe nodded, the humor fading from his face. "That's what worries me. We're only seeing the tip of it." Matt stood, tucking the binders under his arm. "I'll call you if I find anything." Matt sat in the kitchen, eyeing the two thick three-ring case binders Joe had given him earlier. They weren't moving tonight, although he had nothing better to do. Penny kept wandering into his brain and he kept pushing her out. Paperwork might help. Paperwork was one necessary evil of investigative work that no TV show ever bothered to depict. For every dramatic arrest or breakthrough, there were dozens of hours spent poring over documents, cross-referencing statements, and double-checking timelines. Necessary but mind-numbing. His phone buzzed against the table. He glanced at the screen and his pulse quickened. Penny. Matt had thought about moment, rehearsed it even. He was going to tell her it was a bad idea, that they shouldn't see each other anymore. A TBI agent getting involved with someone connected to an active homicide case. It was reckless. It needed to stop. He just hadn't figured out how to say it yet. He did not want to say it. Penny's name flashed on the screen again. With a quiet curse, Matt answered. "Hey," he said, his mind refusing to come up with something clever. "Matt." Her voice came through bright and energetic. "I just finished my last class and I'm starving. How do you feel about Chinese food?" "Listen, Penny," he began, the speech he'd rehearsed dissolving. "I know this great place," she continued, as if she hadn't heard his attempt to interject. "What do you want? My treat." Matt opened his mouth to tell her it wasn't a good idea, that they needed to talk about boundaries, that his career and her safety both depended on them being smarter than this. Instead, he heard himself say, "Chicken and broccoli." "I'll be there in an hour. That work?" Matt knew he should say no, knew all the reasons why. "Yeah," he said instead. "That works." The line went dead. Matt stared at the phone in his hand, wondering at his own weakness. The knock came exactly at the 1-hour mark. Matt crossed the room and opened the door. Penny stood in the hallway, wearing faded jeans and a simple gray t-shirt, her dark hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She balanced two overstuffed paper bags in her arms, the rich aroma of Chinese food escaping from the top. "Delivery," she said with a smile that made his chest tighten. Before he could respond, she leaned forward and kissed him. Just a brief touch of her lips against his, but enough to make his heart skip a beat. She slipped past him into the house as if she belonged there. "Kitchen?" she asked, already heading in that direction. Matt closed the door and followed her, watching as she set the bags down on the counter and began unpacking containers. "I got extra of everything," she said, opening lids to release clouds of fragrant steam. "I'm starving. Class ran late, and I haven't eaten since breakfast." Matt moved beside her, reaching for plates from the cabinet. "Want some wine?" She paused, chopsticks in hand, and gave him a suspicious look. "Not that antifreeze you have under the counter." "I told you it's an acquired taste," Matt said. "It's for those of us with refined palates." "Refined palates don't drink Burgundy that comes in gallon jugs, Matt," she said, poking his chest with a chopstick. I brought something drinkable. She reached into one of the bags, pulled out a bottle of red wine, set it on the counter, and began spooning food onto plates. So, she said, gesturing toward the binders with her chin, is that the Merrick case? Matt nodded, pouring wine into 2 glasses. Just a fraction of it. Anything you can share? Penny asked. They sat at the kitchen table, case files pushed to one side. Matt took a bite of chicken, considering how much he could or should tell her. I interviewed Goddess Hera today, he said finally. Bizarro land, Penny said, circling her index finger around her temple. In a way, Matt said. In every way. I didn't get the feeling she was evil, he said, scooping rice onto his plate. He topped the rice with a mixture of chicken and broccoli. Of all the gods and goddesses, Hera scared me the most, Penny said. The statement surprised Matt. Why? Because her so-called worshippers are fanatical. It's like she brainwashes them. I believe she can get them to do anything she desires. Why would she kill her friends? Because she's a lunatic, Penny said. Matt finished his plate and watched Penny down her second helping. It's rude to stare, she said. Why don't you weigh 1,000 pounds? I'm blessed with a fast metabolism, she said. I miss Daisy. I almost lost her the other day. What do you mean? Somebody took a shot at me. Nearly got both of us. That was you? I heard about it on the radio. Penny pushed her empty plate away. I believe my soon-to-be ex was behind it, but I can't prove it. Concern crossed Penny's face. Are you serious? How do you know? She stood up, crossed the distance between them, and kissed him on the lips. Tell me about it while I clean up. I'll help. No, you sit. Matt watched as she gathered the plates and containers. She moved through his kitchen like she belonged there, finding the trash can and storage containers without asking. It was disarming how quickly she'd made herself at home in his space. So your ex-wife tried to have you killed? She called over her shoulder, opening the refrigerator to store the leftovers. I don't have proof, Matt said, leaning back against the couch, but she's trying to hire a hitman. Jesus, Penny said, pausing to look at him. You're not kidding. Wish I was. That's insane. What happened? Matt shrugged. Nothing yet. Matt explained about the undercover cop and the index cards. And you think she's trying again? Penny closed the refrigerator and wiped her hands on a towel. I don't know. It's hard to believe. Later on the couch, Penny next to him, her legs thrown casually over his, she asked, why did you marry her, Jen? With everything that's going on, it's hard to say. I've asked myself that question. Her looks certainly had something to do with it. Can I see a picture? Nosy. Yes. Matt retrieved his cell phone and found a picture. He handed it to Penny. Wow, she's hot. She handed him the phone back and twisted so she faced him. What put you over the top with me? The video, the website? Be honest. Your maturity and personality, he said dryly. She punched him on the arm. I said, don't lie. The first time we met. And, are you disappointed? Matt pulled her face forward and kissed her. No, I'm not. But you're worried because my family's involved in the investigation, Penny finished. Yes. The weight of Penny's body against his felt right, her warmth melting into him as they sank deeper into the couch. Matt's hand slid beneath her t-shirt and found the smooth skin of her lower back. She made a soft sound against his mouth, something between a sigh and a moan that sent electricity down his spine. His phone rang. Ignore it, Penny whispered, her lips brushing against his ear. The ringtone persisted. Matt recognized the custom tone he'd set for Joe. I can't, he murmured, reluctantly pulling away. It's Joe. Penny groaned but rolled to the side, allowing him to reach for his phone on the coffee table. Yeah, Matt answered, trying to keep the frustration from his voice. You watching the news? Joe asked without preamble. Matt glanced at Penny, who had propped herself up on one elbow, watching him with heavy-lidded eyes. Number Y? Turn on Channel 8. Now! Something in Joe's tone made Matt's stomach tighten. He reached for the remote and clicked on the television, tuning to the local news station. What am I looking for? Matt's words died in his throat as the screen filled with flashing police lights and a familiar scene. Son of a bitch, he hissed, sitting up straight. That's my father, Penny exclaimed, untangling herself from him completely. She slid to the edge of the couch, eyes fixed on the screen. On the TV, Matt watched his sister Kat, the letters FBI blazoned across the back of her jacket, escorting a handcuffed Reed McKnight. He was surrounded by other FBI agents, clearly identified by their jackets. The scene dissolved to a press conference. Kat Berry stood at a podium along with Chief Wilson and other agents. She began, "We are pleased to announce the arrest of Reed McKnight for the murders of Raymond Merrick and Edward Black. This has been a multi-jurisdictional effort, and I'd like to personally thank the chief and all of his detectives for their hard work in this matter." The camera panned to show the line of grim-faced law enforcement officials standing shoulder to shoulder behind her. Chief Wilson stepped forward to add his comments, praising the seamless cooperation between local and federal authorities. The newscast switched back to the anchors, a man and woman with practiced expressions of gravity who recapped the breaking story about the arrest in the shocking double murder that has rocked our community. Matt turned the television off in stunned disbelief. Beside him, Penny was on her feet. "You arrested my father," she shouted, her face flushed with anger. "Penny, I had nothing to do with this," Matt said, standing to face her. "This is the first I'm hearing about it, I swear." "Bullshit. Your own sister led him away in handcuffs." Matt ran a hand through his hair. "I wasn't asked. I wouldn't have arrested your father, Penny." Penny studied his face, her anger giving way to uncertainty. "You're not lying?" "Number, I'm as blindsided as you are." She seemed to deflate slightly, the initial shock ebbing into something more controlled, but no less intense. "I have to go," she said, reaching for her purse. "There's nothing you can do tonight," Matt said. "Your father will be processed and held overnight. He'll see a judge in the morning. And then he can come home, right?" "Probably not," Matt admitted. "The judge will decide whether to set a bond. But in a murder case, it's unlikely." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying it's doubtful they'll grant bond. Not for a double homicide?" Penny pulled away from him, her eyes suddenly red-rimmed. "This is insane. My father didn't kill anyone." She grabbed her jacket from the back of the couch. "I need to go. My mother needs me." As if on cue, Penny's phone rang. She fished it from her purse, glanced at the screen, and answered immediately. "Mom?" Her voice cracked slightly. "I just saw the news. I'm on my way home now." Matt watched her pace across his living room, her free hand raking through her hair. "Are you sure, Mom?" Penny asked after a long silence. "Okay, Mom. I love you too. Call me when you get there." She ended the call and stood motionless for a moment, staring at the blank screen of her phone. "What's going on?" Matt asked. Penny faced him. "My mom's going to my aunt's house in Wichita Falls. Ever since the thing with Marek started, we've been getting calls at the house, people driving by at all hours. Mom thinks it's going to get worse now that they've arrested Dad. She can't take the stress. She wants me to stay somewhere else too." "That's not a bad idea," Matt said. "You both should probably get out of the house for a while." "I'm staying here." The words hung in the air between them. Matt blinked, certain he'd misheard. "Penny, I don't think—" "Don't you want me here?" she asked. "Of course I want you here," Matt said, the words tumbling out before he could stop them. "You're all I've thought about since we met. But it's complicated." "Good, I like that." She stepped closer. "Then it's settled. It's only temporary anyway." Matt sighed. "The road to stupid demanded you take the full ride. There's something else you should know. My brother Robert, the attorney, he's making me move soon." "Why? This is a nice place." "I'm renting it from him at below market value. Apparently that's been keeping him up at night. He's found someone willing to pay full price." "Your own brother is kicking you out?" Penny looked incredulous. "Robert doesn't let family get in the way of business." "When do you have to be out?" "End of the month." Penny threw her arms around his neck, pressing her body against his. "Thank you," she whispered before kissing him deeply. Matt knew there were a dozen reasons this was a bad idea, but with Penny in his arms, those reasons seemed impossibly distant and unimportant. Matt was ready to forget his problems and focus solely on Penny for the rest of the night when his phone rang again. With a groan, He untangled himself from her and checked the screen. Categoria. I should take this, he said apologetically. It's my sister. Penny nodded, sitting back on the couch as Matt answered. Kat, he said flatly. Hey, Matt. Sorry I didn't give you a heads up on the McKnight arrest. Things got so hectic I just wasn't able to call. Matt knew his sister too well. I saw the news. How did you miss the 5 o'clock news? He asked sarcastically. Kat groaned. I know, right? We had 2 agents sitting on McKnight, and somehow they lost him. We had to scramble to find him and arrest him in time to make the 10 o'clock news. She continued without taking a breath. We had to do it then because I'm going to be out of town on Monday, and Chief Wilson is gone after that. But we'll still get newspaper coverage and the weekend newscasts. Next time, I promise I'll get you in front of the cameras too. Matt wasn't surprised that Kat never mentioned getting a potentially dangerous killer off the streets before he could kill again. Sometimes you just can't control the timing, he said. I'm glad you understand, Kat replied. It was fun working with you. The line went dead. Matt stared at his phone for a moment, then immediately dialed Joe. Can you believe that shit? Joe answered without greeting. I say nothing changes, Matt said. We keep working it. I agree, only it'll be a problem on my end, Joe replied. The chief just gave a news conference saying we caught the killer. It's going to be hard to look at someone else for this, openly at any rate. I'll do it from my end, Matt said. After hanging up, Matt turned back to Penny. Her expression had grown more serious during his calls, her earlier playfulness completely gone. What now? She asked. We can't leave my father sitting in jail and do nothing. Matt felt frustrated. The court system is a process, and it must run its course. I know that's not a good answer right now, or very comforting. He moved closer, taking her hands in his. I won't quit until I find the truth. I want you to believe that about me.